All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I just have an announcement to make following our executive session. The time is now 6:30 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. Will all participants in the executive session please state their names for the record? Catherine?
Catherine Nakai.
Terry Baldwin.
Jeffrey Gear.
Carol Harvey.
George Jones.
Steve Smith.
Jeff Wilson.
Aaron Vassilotti.
Suzanne Leclerc and Kelly Case. Thank you. If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns now. Hearing none. Suzanne, please take the roll call for the city council meeting.
Thank you. Mayor Case.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nakai.
Here.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember Gear.
Here.
Councilmember Harvey.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Would everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, so liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 is ceremonies, presentations, and appointments. Before we start this, I'd like to make a change to the agenda, council. We are going to move item 10B up to item 3B for logistics because we have some other things related to that. Is that all right with you all, council?
10B.
10B. It's the resolution on the Charter Review Committee. All right. Thank you. So first we have a presentation on the recent history and responsibilities of the Charter Review Committee. Carol Harvey, please.
Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, it does. I always like that when that happens. We knew partially because our city clerk and assistant city manager had suggested that if there were changes that were necessary for any reason to our charter, which many will interpret as our constitution for the city of Woodland Park, it's best to start those about a year out from the next general election, and the next general election would be in April of 2026. So Suzanne suggested that we go ahead and get that ball rolling. And before we did that, and we did open up applications for, there was consensus from the council, I'll start there, that we go ahead and establish a charter review committee. Later after this presentation, we will approve resolution that will actually form that committee. But before then, I wanted to give everyone a little bit of background on our city charter, and only because back in 2016, I chaired the charter review committee that was one of the more substantive charter reviews done in recent history. After that point, it seemed to be the trend, and it seems like every general election after that, we continue to do a charter review committee. There's no need to do one unless you really have something you want to change in the charter. There's been a couple of suggestions from staff that we have some outdated language in our charter that we might want to fix. There's also been a couple of issues in the community that wanted to address election procedures in our charter, which is the appropriate place to do that. So, as I said, there was consensus from the council to establish a charter review committee. And tonight we'll appoint some members to that charter review committee, but very quickly I'll run through our charter's history, and I'll start with municipal home rule. The reason we have a charter, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but is because we are a home rule community. There's a little history there, but the bottom line is Article 20 of the state's constitution does reserve the right for municipalities to establish home rule. If we were not a home rule committee, then we would revert or we would go back to the statutes of the state. For instance, Teller County is a statutory government, meaning all of their rules and laws derive from the state statutes. But because we're a home rule community, we have a charter. This is kind of the definition of a charter. It's basically lays out the powers and responsibilities of this local government. And it can only be approved and changed by majority vote of the citizens. This is not something that the council can do. It's a document of limitations more than anything. If it's not spelled out in the charter, that generally, but not always means, then we're not permitted to do that in our home rule city. We revert to the state statutes in that case. It does spell out how we govern, and it establishes the powers of your elected officials and also your appointed officials, and that includes your contracted city manager. It should not be easily amended, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go forward. It does have some mandatory provisions. It must provide how we govern ourselves, how we address referendums and measures, and how we recall officers. I'm not sure why the recall of officers is mandatory, but it is. But there are other common provisions that aren't in everybody's charter, but most of these absolutely are addressed in our charter, if you want to take a look at those very quickly. And that does include the composition of our boards and our commissions. Also addresses legal and judicial affairs. And probably most importantly is that it specifies how our budget is done every year and the suspenses of time for that budget. So in actuality, this is all you need in a charter. And this is the charter of the city of Brevity. We've decided it's a city below the clouds, but frankly, this is all a charter needs to have. One page. Ours is a little more involved than this one. But if you want to take a look at that, it says, okay, we have the powers of a home rule city under Article 20 of the Constitution. We have, unless otherwise provided by the state statutes, we are not a statutory city, but we are a home rule city. And this is the last article is how registered voters can change the charter. Okay. So here's a little history. Our charter was adopted in 1975, meaning prior to 1975, we were a statutory city. I've just put some pertinent dates up there and identified what sections were actually changed. I have a couple of notes if you wanted to know what those were. That very first change in 1980, after having the charter in place for 5 years, was actually to add the composition of the boards and commissions. And I know some of you are here tonight because you are applying for one of the boards or commissions. In 84, it was to specify election procedures, and they were a little bit different than the state statutes election procedures, but they were permissible under our home rule authority. But in 2016, we repealed that one and said we would revert to the state statute. That is one of the issues that's come up in the community. I've seen it bubbling up that we might want to go back and look at that particular amendment. In 86, we added the powers for the city manager. We've modified those a couple of times by charter amendment over the years. In 88, we added the residency requirements, the age requirements, and that an individual who was elected to city council could not be a salaried employee of the city and could not be a felon. That was probably a good one to add. And had to be a US citizen. In 2012, I probably failed to mention Section 9.17. Many of you have heard of the 9.1 section of our charter that prohibits using city funds to benefit a private entity or a private project. Basically, city funds cannot be used to incentivize a developer. I'm not sure what the impetus was for that, but in 2012, at this point in time, there was no charter review committee. It was simply the council said they might want to repeal that in order to incentivize folks coming into town who wanted to, low-income housing projects, you name it. Well, once again, the citizens said, no, we think that's a good amendment for our charter and it's going to stay in place. So then we come to 2016, and that was the year that I chaired the Charter Review Committee. And I'll be honest, that was shortly after we had an event where a previous mayor resigned, and the council had a few options that were spelled out in our charter on how to replace the mayor or to fill a mayoral vacancy. They were pretty limited. And if you were here then, you recall that that means there were only 6 folks up here on the dais. 6 votes is not a good thing. There's always a tie when you've got an even number. And there were several very qualified candidates who applied by application for that position, and they were interviewed in this room. And ultimately, out of the 6 or 7 that applied, it came down to 2 very, very qualified candidates, and we were tied as a council. Our options at that time were simply to do a game of chance. We didn't have the option to go to a special election. It did not have any other specified cures for that. I even thought about arm wrestling, but ultimately we selected our mayor by pulling a name out of a hat. That didn't set well with the community. It never really been tested before. The community said this just doesn't seem right. So I initiated that charter review committee to add the option of a special election. As time went on, there have been a couple of other amendments to those options. But the bottom line is we did not have an option for a special election at that point in 2015. So in 2016, we did add that to our charter as well as these other areas that you see up there. And again, we had a council member who wanted to repeal 9.17 and it again went down in flames. Okay. See, I thought for sure that would yeah. Let's see where we went. We're back there again. All right. Up to you, Eric. Get us back up to 2020. In 2020, again, the council suggested that there be a charter review committee. And these were the amendments that were either defeated or repealed. And I have to go back and say a charter review committee doesn't actually put those ballot questions on the ballot during the general election. They simply recommend them to the council. The council still has the option of accepting all of the recommendations from that committee, or some of them, or none of them. But again, in 2020, there was quite a laundry list of amendments, and as you can see, not all of them made it through. One that did not get approved. Right now, our charter says that citizens can vote to provide a stipend to the council member and to the mayor. And this particular amendment was not only to provide a stipend for the council and the mayor, it was also to take that right away from the citizens. So it went down in flames as well. Then you can see some of the others. Another one that was defeated was to replace some of the gender-specific terminology in our charter. Some saw that as a means to, I guess, thought it was a moment of woke. It was not. All of the references to all of our elected officials and our staff members in the charter refer to he or him. This was to simply make it non-gender specific, but that one failed as well. I'm not sure it was a necessary amendment to put in there, but it did get reviewed by the city or by our citizens, and so didn't go anywhere. Are there any questions on what happened in 2020? Because there were quite a few and many of you may have been here when that happened. If not, let's go to the next one, Eric. And the last one was 2022. Councilman Jones and Councilwoman Nakai were on that committee, and the committee recommended to the council 3. All 3 were approved. If you'll recall one of them, there was a lot of focus on, again, what happens when there's misconduct by a council member. What happens when someone questions the ability for someone to decide or to make a decision without influence? And we added about 3.5 pages talking about recusal, have yet to enforce it, or excuse me, yet to enact it. Not had a bit, I guess we haven't had a reason to do that. So 2022 was the last time that we did a ballot initiative with charter amendments.
Councilman Harvey, can you go back one slide on what does that mean? Something about qualifications for office?
3.4. Which one is it?
Oh, adopt state standards for qualifications.
That was to, if you recall, there was an amendment in, I think 1986 that made some specific qualifications for this community that were
Yeah.
at that time.
So the charter used to say you had to be 21 years of age
That was
to
it.
run for office, and you had to be a citizen of the United States for 7 years. And that's what we changed, was to 18 years and citizen 1 year.
Which was an adoption of the state statute requirements. I think Catherine and George were on, Catherine was on that one, yeah. Does that make sense? So, oh, yeah, you're on the next one. Yeah, again, it went back to, why would we have, a requirement of 7 years of citizenship when the state only had 1? So in this case, instead of trying to rewrite our own charter, we just said we would refer back to the state statute, which is permissible. In fact, if it's not covered in our charter, then we revert to the state statute. So, okay. So let's go forward a couple of slides. All right. Really quickly, it's important the committee, and I know tonight we're gonna appoint a couple of council members and and also accept some applications from the public for this new charter review committee. It's very easy to get caught up in a hot button issue, but I think the most important thing, and I can ask our city attorney to weigh in if he'd like to, don't focus on a hot button issue. Try to ask yourself as a committee member, is this going to last for 10 or 20 years? Or do we need to add so much verbiage that we leave something important out by adding so much more to our charter? And then we end up in a case of, oh, well, we didn't think of that and now we can't enforce it. Jeff, anything to add on that?
No, I think that was very well put.
Oh, good. Next one, Eric. So how do we get there? Again, I've already mentioned tonight, we're going to establish a charter review committee and appoint some folks to be on that committee. It's better to have a smaller committee than a large committee. A large committee was necessary in 1975 because it was basically resetting our city as a home rule city. And generally, the state statute requires a very large committee to make that happen before it goes to the public for a vote. But in this case, a small group is appropriate. And it's also it's also important to note that you have to have legal counsel. If you can go to the next slide, Eric, I think I might have. And unfortunately, you need to expect to have legal counsel there for every meeting, whether it's via Zoom or otherwise. Because it's a long drive. I'm thinking of your safety and your comfort. But in today's environment, we can certainly do that by Zoom. It's not appropriate, or it's just not advised for the committee to try to write the language for the ordinances. Each ballot issue will require a single ordinance to put it on the ballot. And it's very important to make sure that we don't set ourselves up for an issue down the road because we didn't have that legal counsel. There should be a recording secretary. It should not be the chair. It's just too difficult for the chair to try to record the minutes and also run the meeting. And I would, based on my own experience, in the beginning, it's going to require a couple of meetings where you're simply reviewing our charter by section. Another way to do it is for the resolution itself that we're going to approve tonight, specifically call out a section of our charter that's been an issue, but I don't think that'll be the case. I think we have a very generic resolution to approve tonight. So in those first couple of meetings, you're going to choose a chair, and then you're going to decide how to tackle the charter and how you want to review it. In 2016, we had the benefit of our risk insurance company, Sursa. Their attorney did a total review of our charter for free. And pointed out some areas that, since 1975, things have changed. We don't have 8-track tapes anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And that was very useful. And then, well, you and I are in 1975, so we know that story. But the last 2 meetings of that Charter Review Committee, which will probably occur in November, certainly need to be open to the public, and probably in this forum. All the meetings, of course, will be posted as public meetings. That the committee will figure out the best time to do that, but it's generally after everyone gets home from work. So it's a couple of hours, one night a month, until you start to get into the nitty-gritty of what you want to recommend to the council. Okay, next slide, I think might be it. Yeah, once again, I emphasize legal advice is absolutely necessary. And yeah, don't try to save money. I think the year in 2016, we set aside a budget amount just to make sure we had enough money to cover the hours that the attorneys are going to have to put in on this. And next one, questions.
Any questions, council? Anyone in the public have any questions for Carol? Thank you so much for that thorough review.
And I'll say this, I would be quite honored if the council decided to appoint me, but I would defer to our new council members, fresh set of eyes. Just putting that out there, but we will appoint 2 tonight for sure. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. All right, appreciate that. We're going to move to item 10B, which is now item 3B. Approval of resolution number 929, series 2025, a resolution activating the City Council's advisory committee known as the Charter Review Committee, originally established in 2000 for the purpose of continuous review, easy for me to say, of the city's home rule charter. And Suzanne, please.
Thank you, Mayor Case. Before you this evening, as Mayor Case stated, we have Resolution 929, and I just want to, so the public can hear some of the highlights of this resolution that council will be considering this evening. We are reactivating the Charter Review Committee, and in this resolution, it states in Section 2 that 2 council members be named to the Charter Review Committee. And with that being said, it is a public meeting, it's a posted meeting. 2 would be on the committee, but all of council can come. Anybody can come, anybody on the public can attend. Anyone can be at this meeting, but 2 would actually be appointed to the actual committee. The city council shall make 2 to 4 additional appointments to this committee following the process that we use for boards and commissions, including advertising and all of that, which I'll get into later when we do the appointments. The Charter Review Committee members shall be 18 years of age, been a resident of the city for not less than 1 year, and they unfortunately will serve without compensation. So it says that it's a volunteer position. That the city council shall provide this committee with criteria, if needed, concerning the process, public hearings, and any other information requested by the committee. And that the Charter Review Committee shall have the necessary clerical and legal support to review this committee. That the Charter Review Committee shall provide a report of findings to the city council upon completion of review of the city's home rule charter. And that the Charter Review Committee shall be deactivated on the 1st anniversary of the adoption of this resolution. So by next January, we should be done with this process, because next January is when I would be sending these items up to the ballot, to be put on the ballot already, if there are any. It also talks about that the city clerk should be on this committee, as well as the city manager and earlier said, the city attorney. So we're looking for 2 council members, 2 to 4 citizens, the city clerk, city manager, and the city attorney. And that's what's before you this evening to vote on, council.
Thank you, Suzanne. Council, do you have any questions of the clerk or anyone else on staff? All right. Well, I would be looking for a motion on the resolution, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Any further discussion, council? Suze?
Thank you. Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you, council. All right, the next item is item 3C, which is approval of appointments to various city boards and commissions to include the Planning Commission, Board of Review, and Charter Review.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we move on, we should do the appointment of the council.
Of the council,
Yes,
Happy
so
to.
this way we have that established.
all right? All right, council. Take it away.
Madam Mayor, I would recommend a secret ballot and allow the clerk to give us a slip of paper and put 2 names on each ballot.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that
I just need
suggestion.
a moment to prepare for that. I wasn't prepared for that. But I can do it. Because I have my handy dandy city manager to help me.
I also like the light back there. That's very,
And the new cabinet, isn't that nice? Kristen is very talented and kind of Martha Stewart-like, I'd say. Although I think you're a much nicer person.
Let me I have to make some corrections. So, Mayor, I just have to make, Councilmember Harvey, I have to make a couple of corrections. We don't call it secret ballot.
okay.
Because what will happen is you are gonna all put your name on the ballot. And you're gonna write the 2 people that you would like to be on the committee, and I'm going to read them into the record. It is not a secret, it's public, and then we will see if someone prevails. We don't like that word
We
secret.
need to change that in the charter. Yeah.
Secret's not good when it comes to government. So just please remember to put your name on it and 2 people that you want. Whatever you guys want to do. Usually I make you nice ballots, but I wasn't prepared for this. I'm gonna read them into the record and the city manager will help me. He really wants to be the. He really wants to be deep down inside.
I would not.
Okay, would you be willing if I read them into the record, would you write them?
Now you can multitask.
I can, but I want it to be done. Okay. So Mayor Case would like George Jones and Terry Baldwin to be appointed. Okay. Councilmember Baldwin would like Mayor Pro Tem Nakai and Councilmember Harvey to be appointed. Councilmember Nakai would like Councilmember Harvey and Councilmember Nakai to be appointed. Councilmember Gear would like Councilmember Harvey and Councilmember Nakai to be appointed. Councilmember Harvey would like Councilmember Jones and Councilmember Baldwin to be appointed. You see why I have Aaron helping me with this? Councilmember Jones would like Councilmember Harvey and Councilmember Nakai to be appointed. And Councilmember Smith would like Councilmember Harvey and Councilmember Baldwin to be appointed. I don't know where we're at, Erin.
See the first one more time.
Do we have a spread that we have to adhere to? We're quite funny this evening, aren't we?
It's early in the year, we haven't.
Ah.
Okay, he did a great job.
He's an accountant.
Yeah.
He's an accountant.
I'll give
Sue.
you the pleasure of reading out the results.
Okay, we had Councilmember Harvey with 5. We had Mayor Pro Tem Nakai with 4. Those are the top 2.
So for the record, it's Harvey and Nakai.
And
Correct.
Catherine and I will send an email out to the other appointees, asking what their preference on days of the week, et cetera.
Yeah, what I would, if with your permission, what I'd like to do is send a doodle poll out. It's
Okay.
just the easiest way. The 3 of us could coordinate on what times work for you. Then I would send a doodle poll out and they can select the times and the unanimous time automatically comes up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
all.
council. Thank you, Sue and Aaron. I told you you were brilliant. Okay, item 3C now is approval of appointments to various city boards and commissions to include the Planning Commission, Board of Review, and Charter Review. Suzanne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening, as Mayor just said, we will be appointing individuals to the various city boards and commissions. Every January is when we do most of our boards. Most of our boards expire January 1, the terms of office. And it is my duty, as with council's direction, to advertise for these positions. And also, not only do we advertise, public notice goes out to all the public, we also ask the incumbents, if they're not term limited, if they're interested in reapplying. So we have done all of that. We've met all the publication notices, and in your packet, I gave you all of the applications. They're not in the public packet. They're in the packet that goes just to council because there's some private information on there that we don't want to put on the website for these individuals applying. So council has every application in front of them. And I'd like to start with the Board of Review. That's the first one on my list. So there's currently 1 permanent position open on the Board of Review with a term that would expire 2028. So January 1st, 2028, once they're appointed this evening. The city clerk's office has received an application from Martine Vogel, who is currently serving as an alternate on the board and would like to apply for the permanent position. Ms. Vogel's application was in your packet, including her application from 2023. I included that in your packet as well. Ms. Vogel is with us this evening to answer any questions, and the planning department is very pleased that Ms. Vogel would like to become a permanent member. So with council's permission, I'd like to invite Martine up to the podium so council can ask her some questions. Martine?
Good evening, Martine. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
If you
too,
just
Mayor.
tell us a little bit about yourself for the public, and then I'll ask the council if they have any questions for you.
Okay. I'm Martine Vogel and
Sorry.
I am, it's okay. I like it. It's very French or something.
I had a friend with the same last name and she was Vogel, so.
Ah, okay. So, and as Suzanne said, I am currently an alternate member of the Board of Review, having been asked a few years back to get involved by Dave Burgess. And I am a general contractor here in Woodland Park, also in other jurisdictions as well, and have been just involved in construction since about 2005.
Thank you. Council, does anyone have any questions for Martine?
I have a couple.
Catherine?
I have just two quick ones, I think. So you've attended meetings then as the alternate?
Yes.
Okay. And what have you found about them that you've liked and or disliked?
Well, I haven't disliked anything
Okay.
so far. I feel like it's been a really, it's been really, well, it hasn't been very difficult so far. There have been very few issues at this point for review, at least last year. So, so far I've been pleased. And what I do like is that when there is something that needs to be discussed, the resources that are made available, I'm trying to think of an example, but bringing in resources to talk about code and things like that. So electrical code and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Terry?
Hi.
Hi, Terry.
I had a couple questions. In the question, what in your opinion are the three most pressing issues facing the city of Woodland Park relative to the Board of Review? And one answer you gave was providing affordable workhouse housing. I'd just like to hear your ideas about that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just as a member of the community and having had kids, for example, that went to the high school and to the junior high and everything, and the elementary as well, I just recall that there were so many teachers at that time. Now, our kids are grown now, but there were so many teachers at that time who weren't living here. And then going to a restaurant, finding that many of the people that served us did not live here or had a very difficult time finding housing. And just knowing it, even from being in construction, we mainly build custom homes, but you know, that's not something that's an option for everybody. And it's a real need. And I know that we are building more here, but I still feel that for the people that service our community, that we need to do more to allow people to live and work here.
So what would that look like? Because I agree, I mean, we say affordable housing or attainable housing, but
If I knew the answer to that, but no, if I knew the answer to that, I was involved with Habitat for Humanity, and that was very tough. And it's really sad to see what happened with Habitat here. And one of the things that we tried to do was to build, I don't know if you remember the Trailhead townhomes, but you know, and I'm happy that there are homes for 6 people, 6 families there, but it was supposed to be more. And one of the challenges we had as the general contractor was trying to make something that would meet energy codes, that was affordable, that was also something that that wasn't a sinkhole for money for people who maybe are on fixed incomes or kind of low income. And that was a challenge. And there were decisions, of course, that were made in terms of, you know, type of construction and that sort of thing. But it was difficult for Habitat to do that. And it was difficult for us as the general contractor to make that happen. And we put in a lot of volunteer hours and things like that because we just didn't feel right about charging for some things, you know? And I don't know the answer because I see it even in the custom home market. I look at how we have to make so many cuts to make things affordable, because even once you get past, you know, when you look at what people can afford, let's say they can afford, there's a certain amount, for example, if they're getting a loan, that the home is going to be worth or value that, appraise that. So, you know, you get past that point, now all of a sudden, you know, it's 80% loan to value or something like that, that you're, you know, that's all you're gonna get, right? From their lender. And then the other part of that is existing homes. You know, you can, technically, but that's the problem, existing homes, you can buy an existing home and it's going to be less than anything you build because you have land and all those other things. So, but the problem is we don't have that. And then the other thing, which of course has been addressed in the community as well, is the issue of, what do you call it's the rentals,
Short-term
the
rentals. That
short-term,
was gonna be my
short-term
next
rentals. Because that whole thing, I happened to be, at a home and, that, was asked to go, check on some things for a client. And he was selling it and he had a lady there who was cleaning house, and she was she was telling me how she was being kicked out of her rental house. She'd rented for years. She had a family so that her landlord could make it a short-term rental. And she was having a heck of a time trying to find something. And I mean, that's the stuff we don't want to see.
Right. Last question, is your position, are you a marksman or something?
Am I a what?
A marksman.
Oh, well, I do some, church security, that sort of thing. And so,
It says you're the coach of Merit Academy's shooting sports club. Is
yes,
that a paid position or a volunteer?
no, that's
position?
volunteer.
Okay,
So,
all right, that's all I have.
all right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else, council? All right.
And then Mayor, I'd like to mention that if council has any questions, Planning Director Schmink is online if you have any questions for her.
Thank you, Suze. All right. Thank you, Martine.
Thanks.
Council, I'd like to entertain a motion for the appointment of Martine.
I move to appoint Martine Vogel to the Board of Review.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Suzanne?
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations. Are we taking charter review or planning commission next?
The next one on our list here is Planning Commission.
Okay,
Okay. Planning Commission, there's currently 3 regular positions that are expiring right now. The 3 incumbents whose terms are expiring have applied for reappointment. The 3 incumbents are Ken Hartsfield, Ken Kennedy, and Lee Brown. The Planning Department is pleased to have received the 3 incumbents' applications and to be able to retain the institutional knowledge they bring to the commission. These terms would expire on January 1st, 2028. They're 3-year terms. And the term limits that are set forth in our charter do not apply to these individuals. They have not met those term limits yet. Their applications were attached in your packet, and we had no other applications from the public received, just the 3 from the 3 incumbents. With us this evening in the audience is Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Hartsfield, excuse me. I get the 2 Kens mixed up. Mr. Hartsfield's in the audience, Mr. Brown is on Zoom, and Mr. Kennedy was supposed to be on Zoom, but I do not see him. So that's up to council whether you want to consider Mr. Kennedy's application or if you want to wait, but we do have Mr. Brown and Mr. Hartsfield with us here.
council. Their previous council or the board preferred to have the people present in order to appoint them. That's your option. If you're comfortable with the incumbents, we can appoint them now, or we can ask them to come back at the next meeting
Well,
and
Mr.
appoint.
Brown is online and
Okay.
and that's always been acceptable to
Yes,
council that
absolutely.
they can appear via Zoom. He's with us via Zoom. And Mr. Hartsfield's here. It would just be Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy would be the only one that's not present. So
Mayor,
what's your pleasure?
Mayor Case, I would suggest that we consider all 3. They're all 3 incumbent. I know Councilman Nakai and Councilman Jones and I have worked with all three, and I have no problem reappointing Mr. Kennedy without his presence here.
I totally
would
agree.
Yeah, I have no objection
Excellent.
whatsoever.
And if you guys feel that way, we can certainly address that at each time we appoint someone. We can talk about whether we're comfortable moving forward or
Yeah, if it
delayed.
were, if
So
they were
thank you
new,
for that.
if they were new applicants, I might have a different opinion, but in this case, I know all three personally, and no problem.
thank you.
So Mr. Brown is online if council, we've promoted him to a panelist. If you'd like to just visit with him and ask him any questions. He made the effort he's out of town to be on Zoom.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great.
Would you mind just giving us a little brief introduction to yourself for the people in the audience, and then we'll see if the council has any questions.
Sure. I'm a retired attorney, most of the time spent as in-house counsel. Reason I'm looking to serve is so that I can serve. And picking an area in which my education and experience, it seems as well suited to me as any of the other opportunities.
Thank you. Any questions, council? All right. Everyone's knows everything about you, so we're going to just proceed. Thank you for being with us. And if you'd like to stay for the vote, I'd invite you to do that. Thank you for being here, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hartsfield's in the audience.
Mr. Hartsfield, welcome. If you'd just give us a little brief information about you, and then we'll see if the council has questions.
Well, thank you, Mayor,
You're
Council.
welcome.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here. My professional life is as an architect. In the past 6 years, been working for the county and the city of Cripple Creek. And with Cripple Creek has been the director of planning in their world, but also worked as a building inspector and plans examiner, those departments. Been on council or planning commission for a number of years. Took a hiatus in the middle, but I think it's on my resume there, but so some 10 years plus, I think I've served, but glad to have the opportunity to continue serving and working on the comprehensive plan and some of the adjustments to the planning codes.
Thank you so much for wanting to serve. Council, does anyone have a question?
I do.
Be nice.
Just, Ken, what is your guess on when we'll see a code review in front of the council?
Excellent question.
Unfortunately, just with discussion and staff, I think we should be done by this time next year.
Oh,
Thank you. I had to ask.
thank you. Anything else, council? All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ken Kennedy is the only one that's not present, but the council's comfortable proceeding. So we'll take a vote first. I'll look for a motion for Lee Brown.
We can do one motion for all three. if
You want to?
that's
Okay,
agreeable.
thank you.
Yeah.
Council, we can do one motion as you heard. So I'll look for that motion to appoint all three.
So then I'll make a motion to appoint Ken Hartsfield, Lee Brown, and Ken Kennedy to the planning commission.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, council. Any further questions? Suze?
Thank you. Baldwin,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. Thank you. And if you want to stick around, Suze was going to administer oaths to those of you that are present. All right. That leaves the Charter Review Committee, Suze.
Thank you. And most of everything that's in my report to council was mentioned by Councilmember Harvey, so I don't have to reiterate that. What I would like to talk about is that I received 3 applications. I was excited about the 3 applications because they're from 3 folks that are new to our boards and commissions. So many times, as council knows, we get some of the same people that apply over and over. And so we have 3 new people that are applying to be on the Charter Review Committee, and I'm excited about that. The 3 individuals are Denise Fisher, Roy Casada, and John Davis. Council, you received all 3 of their applications, and all 3 of these individuals are in the audience this evening for council's questions.
Thank you. Who would like to join us first?
If we want to do them in order, I have Denise Fisher is first.
Thank you, Suze. Denise, could join us at the podium. Welcome. Just tell us a little bit about yourself for the council and we'll see if they have questions.
I am a citizen of Woodland Park for 6 years or coming up on 6. And I just retired and I was wanting to be of service to my community. This came up, I saw it on Facebook. I talked to Suzanne. I thought it fit in with my skill set. I'm a retired writer editor, worked for 40+ years, doing similar kind of work for the federal government, state government, private sector. So I thought that skill set might fit in with this and would give me an opportunity to be of service to my community.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
Uh,
Terry?
Go ahead, Terry, sorry.
Just kind of in the same direction as the other questions that I asked earlier. The question is, what are the 3 most pressing issues that you see facing the city of Woodland Park? And your first response was lack of clear communication between the city and its residents, growing pains that contribute to overburdened and inexperienced staff, and outdated rules and procedures that create undue hardship on our growing community. Can you just talk a little bit about what you mean by those things?
So I think this is true of most things in communities that are growing. It's not meant to be as a criticism. It's meant to increase awareness, transparency, communication through, for instance, I've been here 6 years and I didn't even understand until recently about the Charter Review Committee. So those are the kind of things I feel like citizens, those of us who are newer, haven't been here for a long time, would benefit from knowing about, and communicating that to the citizens somehow. I don't know. I get a lot of news through Facebook now, but maybe other ways as well.
Yeah. One of the ways that I learned about different things in the city was I got involved really quickly when I moved here. So
That's
welcome.
part of the reason I'm
Thank
doing
you.
this. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And I had a couple of, maybe a comment and a question. Have you attended our Citizens Academy?
I have not.
I know we're going to ask a lot of you being on this committee. As I mentioned before, it will require quite a few hours, but if you have an opportunity to apply to the Citizens Academy, I definitely would do that.
Okay.
You'll get a better understanding of how the city operates. And then my second question is, have you looked at our charter?
I have.
Okay, and what impressed you at this point with that charter?
Well, as you were saying earlier, it can be very wordy in parts. And of course, we have to have it meet legal requirements, which I've had to do in my career as well. But that sometimes that language is hard to understand for just folks.
Well,
So-
I would offer this to all 3 applicants. You also might want to look at some other charters from other cities. Colorado Springs charter will make your hair hurt. But Rifle and Loveland are both good examples. We
Okay.
use those in the past, and we'll pull together some that will, allow you to read over the first couple of months that we're in operation. But thank you for applying.
Great.
Anyone else? Questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who are you asking?
Next is Roy Casada.
All right. Welcome, Roy. If you would just give us a little information about yourself, and I'm sure the council will have questions.
Okay, my name's Roy Cassada. Casada's fine too. It's
I'm
either way. We don't, yeah, I
0
don't,
for 2 on pronunciation.
Yeah, you're-
tonight, Sorry.
we can use Casada if you want. We moved here a couple years ago, from Oklahoma, and, I came up here with my oldest son to go fishing at Lake George. And we drove through Woodland Park and just absolutely fell in love with it. So I moved my family up here. We sold my insurance agency for 17 years that we had and started over. And and bought a new business here. Well, started a new business actually. And, I've had, I guess, well, I don't know how long you want me to talk. I don't want to waste your time, so I'll let you ask me questions.
All right, thank you. Council? Questions?
I
Here.
say you can talk a lot because you didn't fill out the application. So should I ask you the questions that we asked?
I guess so. I thought I did, but
I don't see any answers.
Well, some of you did fill out the application, but some of them were left blank.
oh,
And that's what I. think.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's
About
what I
his
think you
name
asked.
and address. Yeah. So applicable community activities and volunteer work.
So, yeah, I thought I did fill that out. So, when I was in Oklahoma, I had an insurance agency and, I was also a member of the fire department there in Piedmont, Oklahoma. I
Now,
retired as assistant chief from that after 10 years. So then, of course, we do a lot of church stuff too, but, that's the main extent of my volunteer work.
Yeah, that's it. That's on his application.
it's at the bottom of the first page that he put he was a volunteer fire person in
Correct.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second page isn't filled out and.
No, the second page is blank,
Yeah,
correct.
So I'm asking the questions there. Special qualifications that are applicable to the board?
I don't know that I'm qualified, but, I've read through the charter, the 16 articles, and I have some ideas about things that I think actually need to be amended in it. My main deal is I want to learn the inner workings of the city, and, I'd like to volunteer to do that. I do have aspirations to run for council in the future, so I feel like it'd be important for me to start here and at the bottom, well, not the bottom, but the nitty gritty, the nitty gritty of it, to understand the inner workings.
So you said you had some ideas of some things that need to happen. Can you give me an example of one?
Yeah, and, it kind of falls along with my unqualification of understanding everything at this point. But there are some things that, at least one thing specifically, and this may run into what you were talking about with not being a statutory city, but, one thing that I've always seen in the past is, the way the council's elected. Instead of having a map with districts where we have equal representation, the council members can be elected from wherever. So if all the council members are elected from one side of town, the other side of town doesn't get representation. So I would like to see that. And I don't know if that's even possible. But to me, equal representation is kind of what the whole government's about. So
Mhm.
And council you may hear that there's wards in other elections. Everyone elected here is at large. And so they can come from any area, but in other municipalities, some of them have wards where it's people from those different neighborhoods. if you
Like the
will.
county commissioners do.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, one more question. What in your opinion are the top three things that you think are issues for Woodland Park?
really, I think it's paradise on earth, to be honest. I think the city's run well. I think the city workers do a fantastic job. The people in the city office, I haven't been in there in a while, but I came in there when I first moved here to start a business and they were all wonderful. I heard rumors, terrible things about some of the people and the trouble that they would give me, and I didn't have any of that. So I don't really have anything that I don't like about it. But some of the issues, just like I stated specifically, that's one of the things.
And then I would like to compliment you. Your food is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Chicken fried steak.
I don't know, is that allowed? But thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? Thank you so much.
And then we have Mr. John Davis.
Welcome, Mr. Davis. Again, if you just give us a little information about yourself.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm John Davis. My wife and Ann and I have lived here for 6.5 years. I'm a retired public works engineer after more than 46 years of service, delivering public works services and projects to local, regional, and state governments. I'm also a retired Florida Army Guardsman after 33 years. And I failed to complete on my application that I was on council Councilwoman Nakai's subcommittee for transportation and drainage for the comprehensive plan review.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Davis?
Well, I would like to ask again, have you looked at the charter and what are your initial impressions?
I have glanced at it, excuse me. I have no preconceived notions. Like Mr. Casa, I think that it should be looked at for equal representation within the city for the council. There, I've got some specific thoughts on that, that could be discussed in the committee.
And have you attended our Citizens Academy?
Yes, ma'am, I have, and it's a very well-run operation there. I think it's great. For a city this size, it's outstanding.
Do you have a professional engineer certification in the state of Colorado?
No, I do not.
Darn.
I have retained after I had 5 PE registrations in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. When we retired here, I did not seek Colorado. And
You-
I'm also a licensed land surveyor in Florida.
You deserve a break, but thank you for applying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, council? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, council, I'm looking for a motion for individually or all together, however you'd like to do. All right. Would you like to do that? Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I
Would you
guess-
like me
I
to
guess because
identify
I'm the one
them?
that chimed in, I'm the one that gets to make the motion, so.
Mhm.
How
How about we start with Denise Fisher?
make a motion to appoint Denise Fisher to the Charter Review Committee.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, look for a motion for Roy Cassada. Did I say it right?
I'll make the motion for Mr. Roy Casada.
To approve or not?
I'm sorry, I taught everyone the wrong way.
Thank you. To appoint, I should say.
Second.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones. Smith,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin,
No.
Gear.
No.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-2.
Thank you. And final, last but not least, is Mr. John Davis.
I move to appoint Mr. Davis to the Charter Review Committee.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Suze?
Jones,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, everyone. And Suzanne, would you like to administer oaths of office?
I'd be honored to.
Thank you.
Mayor Case, before
Yes.
Suzanne goes to the floor, we established a resolution or approved a resolution tonight that could have up to 4 community members. Can we still keep those applications open for a 4th
Absolutely. We
member?
can continue to run the ad, the public notice that we have out
Okay.
there.
And again, I would also add that those meetings may be attended by anyone. They are public forums.
That's
We may not
correct.
listen to you, but you can attend. That's not true.
Okay.
You just won't be able to vote.
So I'd like to invite those that are in the audience to join me up here.
Are you going to do Lee Brown separate, Suzanne?
Yeah, I'll do
Okay.
him in person.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna have you guys stand here. So this way the council can see you. Okay, so I'm going to say, you're gonna raise your right hand and you're gonna repeat after me. So the first thing we're gonna do is raise your right hand and state your name. I Thank you. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Colorado, the charter and ordinances of the city of Woodland Park, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of Board of Review and thank you, all your committees, you got it, for the city of Woodland Park, upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just have you all sign your oaths of office. So we make it official. So here's yours, Martine. Here's a pen for you. Ken, you're next. Kristen has a pen for you.
Last time I raised my hand like that, it cost me 33 years.
Okay, Denise, you're next, and here's a pen for you. That's all you need to do. Okay. And Mr. Davis, here's for you, and Roy, you're right here. Notice I'm not even saying your last name now.
It's fine.
Perfect. And then the different council, the different staff liaisons will be in touch with all of you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. That takes us to item 3D, sales tax update for October 2024. Erin? It's gone.
Thank you, council. I believe your question was about the statement of expenditures. That's under the consent calendar. There was an adjustment to the agenda. Sorry about that. All right, so tonight I have for you the October sales tax revenues. These are October sales tax revenues that were collected and remitted in November. All right, so year to date through October, we are up 2.5% over last year, which is 172,000 over. We have so far collected $7,064,739. And the month of October was a very good one. I think we had great weather. We were up 6.2% over last year, which is awesome. The best month we've had this year so far, so let's hope it continues that way. Let's see, lodging tax revenues, finally starting to see them slip a little bit. We had year to date, we're down 14.2%, and October was down 16.5%. So we've collected 347,000 year to date. And I did adjust the color this month.
Nice.
That looks good.
So you can see on that light green line, we are every single month for the year, except for March, we have been up, and we are about 2.5% up. So you take March out, we're up about 3.5%. So we are looking very consistent, which is what we like to see. Any questions?
Council questions for Erin?
Aaron, we asked this question of you earlier. Could you explain again collection and then distribution of taxes? What is the lag time?
Yes, so sales tax returns are due 20 days after the end of the previous month. So if we use January, for example, if we're looking at January sales tax, it would be remitted by the 20th of February. And this report would not be generated until the beginning of the following month. So you would see this report in the middle of March for January.
Thank you.
Anything else, council? All right, thank you, Erin. Item 4, additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. Suze, do we have anything?
We've done them already.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Item 5, consent calendar. We have 2 items, council. We have approval of the December 5th, 2024 city council minutes and approval of the November 2024 statement of expenditures. Can we take them together? If so, I look for a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Suze?
Thank you. Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes, and thank you for the Nat's ass accuracy of that expenditure report.
Excuse me?
You tell us every penny that's spent in that report, and it's provided every month in our package and made available to the public without without a core requirement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
with comment.
Thank you, council. That takes us to item 6, public comment on items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up?
We do, ma'am. We have one individual signed up, and that's Mr. Arnie Sparnans.
Arnie, you join us, please? And Lily. I'd like to welcome Lily to the council meeting. She's lovely. She's lovely. She's welcome anytime. Good girl. Welcome, Arnie.
All right,
Just
thank you
give
very
us your
much.
city of residence and your full name.
Yeah, I sure will. Okay, so my name is Arnie Sparnans. I live in the Sunny Glen neighborhood. And so Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, yeah, that was Lily there. So and just wanted to rest assured, so you don't have to worry about this. My comments only pertain to ordinance 1472. And so there are no references to ordinance 1469 at all, in what I'm going to say.
Congratulations.
Well, Happy New Year to everyone. Sure looking forward to this one. So I just wanted to comment on, in spite of any confusing information people may have seen on local TV or on social media, we need to remember that Woodland Park has 2 laws concerning short-term rentals, i.e. STRs, that are in effect. Ordinance 1472 concerning short-term business regulations went into effect in March 2024. These are the short-term business regulations and the good neighbor guidelines to help maintain the peace, and character, of our neighborhoods out there. For example, all STRs are required to include their business license number in the STR listing online, whether it's on VRBO or Airbnb. And if someone is aware of an STR operating in their neighborhood without including their license number in the listing, they should report that violation to the city. And then when reporting, please include both a link to the STR listing and the property address. In addition to making sure the listing violation gets remedied, the city can assess whether the STR is legally licensed and if additional penalties are applicable. So a very easy tool that was part of that provision there. Another example is all STRs are required to have a local contact person available to respond to issues within 60 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I had a chance to exercise that today. Thank you for the city for having the contact information on file. We had an issue with there was trash on the street at an STR there, and the issue is now resolved. So that's good, a good thing out there. And as you see too, sometimes by having, when you report issues or look at things, when violations occur, documenting the violation with a cell phone picture or video is always very helpful. STR owners can be fined up to $1,000 a day, $1,000 a day for violations. So there are consequences for violating the city's regulations. It's also worth noting that Ordinance 1472 is what grants the city the authority to issue and renew STR business licenses. If we look closer in paragraph 5.22.030, the ordinance requires the short-term rental unit and property complies with the permitted uses for the applicable zoning district as provided in the table of permitted uses. And so we look forward to hearing more about how this will be enforced soon. Make sure that that's happening with our renewals and new license issues. The residents of Woodland Park have fought long and hard to ensure the peace and character of neighborhoods is maintained. The residents need to continue to exercise their rights to peace in their neighborhoods and know that there are ordinances that support them. May this new year be filled with peace for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily.
Excellent.
She's darling.
Yes, she's beautiful.
she personally witnessed quite a few signatures
Well-
by being in the drop-in station there.
She's welcome anytime. Thank you, Arnie. Okay, that takes us to any others, Susan?
No,
I'm so
ma'am.
sorry.
No,
All
ma'am.
right, anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council? All right, thank you. Item 7 now is unfinished business. We have none. Item 8 is ordinances on initial posting. We have item A, approval of ordinance number 1487, series 2025 on initial posting, and ordinance declaring the instrument for public notification process and method for the city of Woodland Park for the year 2025, and set the public hearing for January 16th, 2025. Again, we have Aaron and Suzanne. It's the Aaron and Suzanne show tonight.
I think this one's me.
Okay. Suze,
Thank you. Every year, council, for those that are new on council, we have to declare to the public how we're going to publicize all of our notices. And many years ago, we used to do them in the newspaper and found that the public really desired them to be on the website. It's immediate, it's easy for them to access, saves the city a lot of money. And so for the past, I'm going to guess 5 years now, we've been declaring the public notice official as the website. So I'm just asking, this is just going to be an initial posting. It's basically for the public hearing for 2 weeks from now. Just asking council to approve this initial posting this evening. And if council has any questions, I can answer them this evening, or I could answer them during the public comment.
thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne. Council, this is setting the public hearing, so I'd be looking for a motion.
I do have one question, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Do you still put a notice in the paper with a link to the website? if
We do not.
Okay, thank you.
Everything is on the website.
Okay.
I make a motion for the approval of ordinance number 1487, series 2025 on initial posting and ordinance declaring the instrument of public notification process and method for the city of Woodland Park for year 2025 and set the public hearing for January 16th, 2025.
Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion, council? Suzanne?
Thank you. Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Thank you. Item 9 is public hearings, and we have none this evening. And item 10 is new business. A is council discussion on legislative priorities and direction for the 2025 year. And that is Aaron Vassilotti.
That's right. All right, as council knows, our city has partnered with Fountain and the City of Monument to coordinate our legislative advocacy and work on policy direction. And I would like to have a discussion tonight on whether the council would like to have work sessions or do a retreat so that we can formalize our legislative priorities and the direction that we would like the city to be working towards, and also so that if any of us are speaking on behalf of the council or the city, we can know exactly what our priorities are so that we can communicate that effectively.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
The legislative priorities of which you speak and that we have now lobbyists, do they work with CML?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because we just had a call about all the legislation that's coming forward, so I wondered if this is.
So when I went to the one meeting with the lobbyists last year, towards the end of the legislative session, actually, I think it was their last meeting, they pretty much met every week or every other week during the entire session.
Correct.
So from January to April or May, so it's,
Yes.
so we probably will need to pick somebody to maybe attend those or.
Yes, so we have had the mayor attending those meetings,
Okay.
and Councilmember Baldwin is our CML legislative
Perfect.
representative, so we have asked Councilmember Baldwin to attend those as well.
Perfect.
And it will be quite a commitment.
Hang on. All right. Anything else, council, on that subject for Aaron?
So do we have a preference on a retreat versus
Oh.
work sessions?
Is the retreat then, so would we have the, the lobbyists represented at the retreat?
We
Or-
will attempt to have them there.
Yeah, okay.
Jeff will be there on
Okay.
behalf of the city, so I think Jeff has quite a bit of experience with CML. I think he can lead us. And I do have a framework that Fountain has been using for a number of years to get us started.
Mhm.
But we may have a couple of differences that from theirs.
What,
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how do you envision the retreat versus a work session? Because this last year, we had a number of work sessions. I think we had maybe two meetings off, right? Where we didn't have a work session.
It was a busy year.
It was. So how would you envision the retreat going? Is it like an all day?
I would picture about 4 hours,
Okay,
just so we can get it all done in one sitting as
Yeah.
opposed to doing 2 or 3 work sessions,
that's
which could continue our trend of every meeting.
right.
we do have a document on the books called a strategic plan. Are we possibly suggesting that that's obsolete and that this would move us forward? Or would they complement each other?
They would complement because this would be specific on legislative priorities
Okay.
as opposed to some operational goals we have
All
in there.
right. I would suggest a retreat where we can hash it out in one sitting.
Okay, excellent.
So-
concur with that as well.
Yes.
So Aaron, would that look like for example, a list of 10 legislative things that are happening this year and we sort of figure out what our position is on each one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I will want to look to tie these back to the comp plan and strategic plan as well, but these will have their own little priority.
So that's what we did at the last committee meeting was.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right, then we will get it scheduled.
Thank you. Council, that takes us to reports and the mayor's report. I don't have any events because it's January and we kind of evented out at the end of the year. So we'll look for that next time, I'm sure. It is a new year, as we all know. Happy New Year to everyone. And I'd like to start doing something we used to do, and that is once a month, if we have something, is to read letters from citizens and others that might send letters to us, complimenting our staff in different ways. And share that with the public and just recognize that staff member. And tonight I'd like to be the first one. And this letter is from the Woodland Park Senior Organization dated December 19th. And it is to Rob Feltz, Operation and Technology Manager at the City of Woodland Park. It says, "Dear Rob, on behalf of the members of the Board of Directors of the Woodland Park Senior Organization, I want to thank you for the support you gave to our organization. Your timely response to the plugged sewer line was a lifesaver. December is an essentially busy time for the senior center, and to make matters worse, this happened during the holiday home tour. They are a courtesy stop. The offer to allow us to use the city chamber room was very generous. We simply had too much to move over there and back to take advantage of the offer. Sincerely, Jerry Burnham, President of the Board of Directors, and he copied the city manager and the mayor on this letter. So that's the first of many to come, I'm sure. I just wanted to acknowledge, and I've told some of you the story, that I did attend the 163rd birthday ball of the 4th Engineers Battalion a couple of weeks ago on a Friday night. And I have to say that that was one of the most fun times I've had in a long time. And Councilmember Harvey's familiar with the grog and all of the things that happen at a ball, but it is very formal and it is very fun. And it's a chance for those soldiers to let their hair down with their superiors and with everyone in their companies in that battalion. And the battalion commander, what's her name? The colonel, the brigade colonel was there as well. And she was lovely and very intelligent. So anyway, it was an honor and a lot of fun. So I just thought I'd share that I did that during the holidays.
I appreciate you bringing it up, Mayor. As we remember a few weeks ago, we formally reestablished our relationship with this particular battalion. That doesn't mean we don't have a relationship with the other many military installations and units in the area. But in this case, I know previous military liaisons from the council have attended a lot of the different formal balls, formal celebrations, and I felt that this year it was appropriate for you to attend and represent the city, but I also felt instead of my attendance that we would compensate, or we would cover the cost of the cost of that ball, which was at the Doubletree.
It was at the Hilton that is by the Target down in Southgate
It's
area.
even though those tickets are prorated, that's still a tough expense for a young junior enlisted member to make. And so the city made the decision to provide tickets for one junior enlisted member from each of the 6 companies. And thank you so much for making that happen. And as time goes on, we'll also contemplate other ways to support the battalion and support their personnel as representatives of our entire military community. Thank you.
And I did receive a handwritten thank you from one of them. And I will bring that to you and you can share that with the community at our next meeting.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, Carol. That's all I have. Catherine?
Okay, the Ute Pass Kiwanis Tiki Time Bingo will be January 16th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at the Shining Mountain Golf Course. And that's all I have.
I'm gonna jump on what the mayor, your idea, I like your idea, and can we also bring the nasty letters that we get and name names? No.
We'll
I'm-
take that on a
I'm just-
case by case basis.
I'm totally kidding. I really just wanted to call out and thank the city for the beautiful, beautiful Christmas lights, not only at Memorial Park, but right down 24. The parade was awesome. It's the biggest, we had the most floats of any parade that since I've been here. Didn't go to the midnight to the New Year's Eve thing, but the thing at the park with the kids, the city just did a fabulous job. And I just want to thank Parks and Rec and you guys and Rob and Kip and everybody else. It was really a special holiday season this year.
Yes, it was. And there were lots of comments on social media and people I've seen to the same. People loved it. So we're just going to do it bigger and better every year, aren't we? So stay tuned. Jeff?
All right, so first off, welcome to 2025, everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful Merry Christmas and a really happy New Year. But now we roll the calendar over, so here we are. I do not have anything for Parks and Rec this meeting, but I did want to echo everyone's sentiments. The parade was spectacular. The timing of the fireworks, all of it, it was arguably the coolest parade I've ever been at or a part of. So really job well done, guys. Other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful year and hopefully a quiet and not eventful one. So that is all for me.
Thank you, Jeff. Carol?
I have nothing else.
Thank you. George?
Yeah, I personally wanted to thank Aaron and Rob for helping to remove a ton of ice behind our buildings over this holiday. It was pretty nasty back there, and really, I know a lot of folks that park back there appreciate the fact that all that ice is gone. So thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah.
The only other thing I'd bring up is Downtown Development Authority, the DDA will meet this coming Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. in this location. And I think the agenda's not posted yet, but I'm sure Chair Gamelke has a lot of activities surrounding the
micro grants.
Micro grants, thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
Like merit award or something, but yeah, the micro grants. So it'd be interesting meeting, looking forward to that.
Thank you, George.
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, whatever I was gonna say, it's already pretty much been said. So Happy New Year, and I really feel that the council is gonna do a really good job this year, especially with, things that are coming up. So we're looking out for our city, and our city's gonna feel it.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. City Attorney, he has no joke tonight, by the way.
No jokes. What an auspicious start.
Aaron?
All right, Citizens Academy will begin on Wednesday, January 15th. We had the letters confirming the students' acceptance sent out today. And Thursday, January 2nd, as of today, we have the academy with 23 students enrolled, so it's pretty awesome. The city and Citizens Academy are proud to partner with the following community sponsors to support the program. We have our mayor, Kelly Case, the Case Advantage Keller Williams Client Choice. Thank you very much. We have AJ's Pizza, we have Karis Bible College, we have the Grilled Cheese Food Truck, and we have Woodland Fitness Center. So thank you all very much to our sponsors. And let us know if you have any questions or you'd still like to sign up, right? We have 2 spots left, is that right? Technically, yes. All right, and then not to be outdone by that, we have beginning January 6th, the dumpster behind City Hall will be collecting Christmas trees, so that should be a big hit. And then I'll turn it over to Suze.
Hey, Aaron, I had a question for you. We were gonna do a work session or like a workshop around the mushroom situation.
Yes, at our next meeting on January 16th, we will have that work.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So one thing about the Christmas trees and dumpster I'd like to mention to the public is the dumpster's not there yet, but we have dumped trees already. So if the public could wait until the dumpster gets there, because now our guys have to pick the trees up, put them in the dumpster. If they can wait till the dumpster actually arrives, which is Monday, that'd be appreciated, but bring your Christmas trees and we'll get rid of them for you. But council, many of you have commented this evening to me about how the council chambers looks. You've noticed some of the different improvements in here. You've noticed the paint. You've noticed some of the lovely photos on the wall. You've noticed a piece of furniture that we have back here. Well, I'd like to pay compliments to Kristen. We hired her as our interior decorator for the city, as in other duties as assigned, right, Kristen? And so she's been doing some improvements to make it a little bit more modernized in here. And you'll notice in the back wall to the left, she's made a history wall. If you can see it where Kip is looking, you might want to take a peek at there. She's collected all the photos. She's reframed them, rematted them, had them done. So you can have all of the history of the Woodland Park over there. These lovely photographs over here, Kristen's taken herself. She's an excellent photographer, and she has taken these photos and has hung them there. And as time goes on, you'll be noticing more and more improvements coming to the city council chambers. Eventually, we have ordered a big logo that'll appear over here, and Kristen's doing many other things. One fun thing I'd like council to take note of is if you come into City Hall in the front door and you come in behind the security desk, Kristen did a really fun display. This summer, she spends a lot of her days at the farmer's market. A lot of the Fridays, Kristen's at the farmer's market. She gives bandanas to the little dogs that come and visit her at the city booth. She has a wall in City Hall that is the cutest thing. On your way out tonight, take a peek. It's all different dogs wearing the City of Woodland Park's logo on their bandana. So I just wanted to tell Kristen how much we appreciate her fine touch and helping us make the council chambers and the rest of the City Hall a beautiful place for the citizens. So thank you, Kristen.
Did she charge us for those pictures?
No.
Okay.
We hired her.
Thank you.
You'll see
Beautiful.
things like that she's done. I think this has been here for years and years and years, and it's a new mat and a new frame, and it just pops. And all throughout the city, she's doing fun things like that for us.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. With that, we're adjourned.